It looks like most people are in now. So welcome to week 4 of our webinar series. We're looking at markup tools, layers and legends today. My name is Alex Butcher. I'm a sales and technical consultant at Advanced Spatial Technologies. So we are a Bluebeam Platinum partner for the Australia and New Zealand region. As part of our sort of support to customers, we like to make sure everyone's aware of features and what's available in Bluebeam. So listen in, hope you guys learned something today, and feel free to ask any questions. Like I say, during the session, if you put them in the chat box, then that's great. And towards the end, we'll have a bit of a section where you can jump on and ask a question if you want to unmute yourself if you've got a microphone. So just before we sort of go into a bit of background on AST again, like I said, we're a Bluebeam Platinum partner. We're an Autodesk reseller for the Australian region, FM Systems master reseller, Dropbox for Business partner, Veeam Backup, and GoFMX partner. We also partnered with Dell, HP, and Lenovo for hardware to provide for the AEC industry. We also have a training and professional services division called the CAD West Bureau. Also, if you guys think of any issues that you're having in Bluebeam that you're finding difficult to solve, if you're not sure if you've got a problem that you think it can solve but you're not sure how to, feel free to reach out to me, Alex at advancedspatial.com.au. Give me a bit of an explanation of your issue. Send me the file that you're having it with, and I can go through the problem and solution for you in the webinar in the next week. So if anyone would like to do that, feel free. I'd love to hear the issues you guys are having and see if we can find a solution for them. As always, if you need to find help for Bluebeam, feel free to reach out to me, Alex at advancedspatial.com.au anytime. Give us a call, 1300 672 888. Or you can also find it in the help menu under help and watch review tutorials. And once I bring up Bluebeam, I'll show you where to find those again as well. Cool. So what we're going to go through today, so we're going to go through markup tools, legends, and layers. So basically, the lessons we're going to go through are an overview of the basic markup tools. We're going to go through creating layers, assigning markups to layers, setting the markup layer. I'll explain what all of this means once we get into it as well, and creating a legend from markups and creating a legend from tool sets. If there's any questions you have about any of these topics, like I say, put them in the chat box, or we can have a session where we'll ask them at the end. So the idea is to be quite interactive, and yeah, keep an eye out, because there'll be a couple of things I might mention, and if you can remember them by the end, you might win a prize as well. So let's get into it. So let me just open up a little bit. So we've got a basic drawing here. First, we're just going to go through what markup tools are there, the basic sort of stuff that we have available. There's obviously a whole heap more than what I'm going to show you today, but the idea is just to give you a general overview of the things that most people are going to use. So first thing we have, generally most people use Bluebeam to do their markups on drawings, whether it's things that they need to review or change, or the idea is to replace paper with a PDF and be able to do things a lot neater so everyone can read them and it gets there a lot quicker. So most people use the clouds to sort of do their reviews, draw a cloud, and then you can do your call out to your cloud, and you say, for example, for a review. So this is really good, obviously. It's a lot quicker than printing out a drawing and doing it on paper, but even still, we can make that process quicker. A couple of versions ago, Bluebeam added what's called the Cloud Plus tool. So the Cloud Plus basically is a combination of those two. So instead of having to go back and click the call out, it pops up automatically for me. So I'm going to say review this wall. So you can see, instead of having to go back and click another tool, it's a lot quicker for me to just be able to place my call out. It's not very often that I'm going to use them separately anyway, but there is still the option to do it if you need to. So it's quite a good little time-saving tip for you there. Still, I do meet a lot of people that don't realize that Cloud Plus tool exists, and basically it's the one that has the cloudy kind of line with the call out attached above it, or the shortcut is K for it as well. Obviously, we can customize all of this as well. I went through this last week in the tool chest, so if you want to see how you can customize properties and add them to your tool set, you can have a look in there as well. The next thing that a lot of people tend to do or need to do with a drawing is bring images into it, whether it's a company logo, the signature, whether it's just photos from out on site that they need to bring in to show things in an as-built drawing. So there's a couple of different options of what you can do to add an image into Bluebeam. So we have the image tool. So there is one of them in here, which is the image tool, and this defaults to from file, but there is more options to it. So if we go to tools and then markup and then image, we have options of from file, from camera, or from scanner or crop image as well. So today I'm going to go from file, so I've got some on file. So go from file, select the image you want, hit open, and then you'll see it pops up with the little image icon below your cursor. That means you just need to draw it where you want it. Once you've drawn it, you can obviously resize it to the size that you want the image to be. You can place it inside your cloud or wherever you want to put it. So that's really good, obviously, if we've got one drawing, but you can imagine if we've got 30 or 40 drawings that we've taken from out on site, each room has 10 different photos or whatever it is. As we sort of start adding more and more, it's going to really crowd up the drawing. You know, I'm not going to be able to see anything that's actually on the drawing. So it's just going to be a nightmare. So what we have for this example is called the capture tool. So in the capture tool, for this, it has to be attached to a markup. It could be attached to just a straight line, it could be attached to a cloud, or it could be attached to a pen drawing. It doesn't matter what it's attached to, it just has to be attached to a markup. So for the example today, I'm just going to use this cloud here, and I'm going to right click it and go down to capture. And then for this one, we just have from camera or from file. So for example, if you're out on site, you've got an iPad and you're using the Review iPad app, you can do this on there as well, when you just capture straight to your markups. You can put them in a studio session or a studio project so that they go straight back to the office. But it's a really easy way of doing this without having to sort of transfer photos between. But for this example, I've got someone from file as well. So let's say, for example, I've taken them with a digital camera or my phone and I've transferred them back to the computer. We can do it this way. So we go capture and from file. And for this one, you can select as many images as you want. It could be 2, it could be 500. It doesn't matter how many it is. You can just put as many images as you need to put in there. Obviously, the more photos you put in there, the bigger your file size is going to get. But yeah, so basically, I'm just going to select both of those, hit open, and you'll see down next to the bottom of this cloud, this little icon has popped up. It looks like a camera lens. If I click into that icon now, it pops up this window with the images that I've brought into here, so I can see the cracked wall that I put in here. I can also add more to this after if I realize that I haven't added all of the images in. You've got the option here to add them from a camera, or you've got the option to add them from file. So you can add more that way as well. One thing to note with the capture tool is it's a feature that's only in Bluebeam. So let's say, for example, I now need to send this to another person that works externally that doesn't have Bluebeam. To do that, I would need to flatten this before I send it to them. And then there's an option when we go to flatten it, document and then flatten. And we would need to flatten capture media as an attachment. And what it will do is that the icon will stay there, but instead of linking to that little window that pops up, it links to an attachment that goes onto the file, and it just has a list of the images that you put in there. Or the other option as well is to create a summary of the markups list down here as well, which we'll go through in another webinar of what to do with that. And you can also see the images in there as well. So that's the 2 different ways of bringing images into a drawing. It kind of depends on what you're doing of what you use. A lot of people just use the image tool to bring in things like logos or signatures or just an individual image that they need to bring in every now and then. when you're doing things like site surveys where you've got hundreds of photos that you need to bring into your drawings, it's usually better to use the capture tool to do that. So the next markup tool I'm going to show you is called the Snapshot. So I'm just going to move these out of the way now. And basically, the Snapshot tool is used to replicate PDF content that's in your drawing. So whether it's symbols, whether it's furniture like the chairs you can see here, whether it's a door that you want to reuse again, it can be whatever you need to replicate. So for this tool, it's the one in the toolbar on the right-hand side here that looks like a box with dotted lines, and the shortcut for it is G. This one is found under Edit and Snapshot as well, not under the Markup tool. So basically, if I click this Snapshot tool, you'll see the tool activates on the cursor. Basically, I just need to draw a box around what I want to snapshot. So I'm going to try and get it as close as possible so I don't get too much of the excess around it with my wrapping box, and drop it there. And basically, you see how that flashes blue. What it's done is it's just copied that to the clipboard. If I right click and paste, or Control V, it pastes that chair for me. A couple of things to note. So I'm just going to show you the other way of doing this before I sort of note those. If you go to this Windows Snipping tool, pops up there, you go to New, and you draw your box, the same sort of thing. And you can do it this way and copy and then paste. Now, if I put these two next to each other, you can see already a major difference. The Snipping tool picks up the white background behind it, whereas the Snapshot tool doesn't pick up that white background. It just picks up the actual PDF content that it's picked up on top of the white page. If I zoom into these as well, you'll see that the one from the Snipping tool is very, very blurry, and the one that is in from the Snapshot tool is very clear. The difference between those two is the Snapshot is in vector content and the Snipping tool is in raster content. So raster content is basically image content, and vector content is what comes from things like CAD programs, drawings, and that kind of stuff. So it's much better to use the Snapshot tool. The other thing with the Snipping tool is I can't customize many properties of this. There's nothing I can really do to it. With the Snapshot tool, if I right click this, I can change the colors of it. So I can go on here, change this to colorize, and just select the color I want it to. I want to make it blue, and hit OK, and it changes that color. I can rotate it, I can do whatever I need to do with it. I could then save it to my tool chest as well to reuse later. Let's say I want anything that I put on top of my drawing to be in blue, I can do that. I can save a red chair, I can save a green chair, I can do whatever I want with that. Whereas this, it's very limited of what you can do with it, plus it looks horrible as well. So that's the Snapshot tool there. All of these are the basic markup tools that we need. There's not really much more that people use very, very commonly. Other than that, there is a whole heap more. If you go to the tools and then markup, you can find things like text box, typewriter, notes, layouts. So yeah, apologies for that. Markup, and yeah, so you can find some basic drawing tools as well, which you also see on the right hand side, and flags and that kind of stuff as well. So the next thing I'm going to show you quickly is just layers. So we're going to go to the layers panel on the left hand side here, which looks like kind of two pieces of paper on top of each other. So currently in this drawing, I don't have any layers added. So I need to add some layers. The first one you do, it doesn't really matter which option you select. So I'm just going to go add new layer, and I'm just going to click add before because it doesn't really make a difference. And I'm going to call this one reviews. I'm just going to create another one, and I want to add this one after my reviews layer. We're going to go add after, and I'm going to call this one images. So what I've done is just created different layers that I can assign markups to. Now, there's a few different things you can do with this. So if I can right click any markup that's already on the drawing, and I can go down to the layer option, and I can select which layer I want to put that in. So I've just select this cloud, so I'm going to add that into the reviews layer. And I'm going to do the same for this cloud as well. and I'm going to put that in the reviews layer. The next one, I'm going to put this image into the images layer. So right click, go to layer, and then images. I'm also going to put my snapshot and share into the images layer as well, and my snipping tool one too. Cool. So now I put them all in different layers. I asked why would I do that? So now with the layers, what I can do is turn on and off different things. So you can imagine as you've got a lot of markups, right now it doesn't look like there's a lot on there, but as you're doing reviews on drawings, you're going to start having a lot more come onto there. So you can turn them on and off by just clicking this eye icon on the left-hand side. So you turn that off and the reviews will disappear. And then if I turn the images off, all the images would disappear. A lot of applications for that, things like you could use one for measurements, one for reviews. Like some people could do different layers for different types of measurements. So you've got length measurements, area measurements, and things like that. So rather than having to change colors to make it visible, you can just turn layers on and off and make it really easy. The other thing you can do as well with the layers is you can set a particular layer to be the markup layer before you put markups on there. So let's say I need to do a heap more clouds and reviews. So I want to set the reviews layer to be the layer that all the markups go into. If I right click it, and I select markup layer, it tells me markups added to this document for this session will be assigned to layer reviews. Markups with pre-existing layer assignments will not be affected by this setting. I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm just going to draw a few more clouds. And you'll see if I turn the reviews layer off, they all go away as well. And then I'm going to add some more images, but I'm going to put them now the images layer to be the markup layer. And it tells me the same thing, hit OK. I'm going to draw my image, draw my image, draw my image, draw my image. And if I turn off the images layer, all of them will disappear now. So that's layers. There's a few different uses of what you can use it for. It depends on what you're doing. It's just the idea is to reduce clutter on your drawing and be able to turn things on and off so you can see things a lot clearer. So the last thing I want to show you today is just legends. So we've got two options for legends of what we can do to create them. So firstly, the first way we're going to do it is just by creating it from the markups that we've got on the drawing already, and then we're going to create it from a tool set that we've created as well. So to create it from the markups, all we need to do is select all of the markups that we've got, and then just right click and go down to legend, and we're going to go to create new legend. And you'll see it pops up this legend for me. I just got to place it wherever I want. And I can make it a little bit smaller so I can see it better. I zoom in. What it does is creates a legend of all the markups that we've got on there. It's a dynamic legend as well. So if I add more clouds, for example, you'll see that number of the clouds goes up. Now I've got 6, 7, 8, and so on and so forth. So that's really good if you want to do it after, but some people, what they do is customize the properties of it. So I can change, let's say, the title. I want this to be markups. I can change the font size. I could change the columns that are in there. So I want also, let's say, if you put measurements in there, you can put measurement, different things in there. I'm just going to put comments in there. I'm going to put layer in there. And I hit OK. And you see it pops up more columns for me now. So I can see more things to make it smaller again. So you can see it's got comments in there. It's got layer of what they're in as well. But now I want to save that again so that I can use that same legend on other drawings when I put markups on there. So there's kind of two ways of what we can do that. So you can add that to a tool set. So that's cool. I'm just going to add that to training. And now I can replace that again on a different drawing, and any of those markups that I put in there will go into there. The other option though is also creating straight from a tool set. So I'm just going to go into my tool chest here and go to the training tool set here. And I'm going to drop down this, and I'm going to go down to legend. And I can either create a new one or I can add these markups to my existing one. So I'm just going to add them to my existing one. Yeah. So hit markups, and as I place markups from here, you should see them go into, apologies, they're not going into there. Let's just create a new one. So let's go create a new legend, and we're going to drop it down here. So we can see the clouds that I've just added go in there, and if I have more, I'll drop down, and they keep going up. If I add snapshot and chairs in, they keep going up as well. Well, that's a different color to the ones that are in there. It's showing them all because they've got the same subject and title and that kind of stuff. So you can see, obviously now we put a lot of different things on there. They're quite random, but you can imagine with a drawing, they're going to start looking like this. So this is where the layer becomes very, very important. I didn't disable my markup layer, so everything I've just added is going to go into that layer. So if I turn that off, all of those things I've added go off, my reviews go off. So that's markups, legends, and layers, guys. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask? Can you change the name of the markup? From change cloud to door 0? Yes, you definitely can. So if I go to, let's say, for example, this cloud here, and I just want to change the name from cloud plus to door 01, I just go to the subject here and go door 01, and that will change the title of that cloud. It doesn't appear anywhere except for, let's say, it'll appear in the markup list if I go find subject, and I should be able to find door 01. So there it is. So that comes up as that one there. It's a good question, Connor. Thank you.